Alright guys, so this is the build that I run with the Ice Gauntlet for almost everything in New World. PvP, PvE, open world, 50v50. And that's because this build is just absolutely nuts for everything. There are a lot of passes on the left side, which is where we're going to start with the build, that are decent, but not fantastic. But the reason I have to take them, and you would have to take them as well, is to get down to the ultimate, which you will see in a second. The passes that are okay, but are necessary to run, are Cold Reach, which just increases your light and heavy attacks by 50% when the target is further than 15 meters. Critical Rejuve, which just gives you some mana back after triggering a crit on a target. And then Gathering Storm, which gives you 15 mana after hitting 3 consecutive light attacks. Those are the 3 passes that are okay. They're not great, but you have to take them. Critical Frost is basically your bread and butter combined with Heavy Freeze, okay? So these two are where the Ice Gauntlet kind of hits its power spike. Heavy Freeze makes your enemy stunned when you hit them with a heavy attack, when they're in Ice Storm or with Frostbite, and Ice Shower gives Frostbite. So the uptime of this can be pretty insane, because it gets off of 2 abilities, basically. Critical Frost just gives you a 20% crit chance increase when hitting an enemy in frosted area or with Frostbite, which is Ice Storm and Ice Showers. So those two work together, right? So you're stunning your enemy with a heavy attack, and you have 20% more crit just from these 2 passives. And then Energized Critical increases crit damage of ice spells by 15% when at full stamina, which you're not going to get 100% use out of, but it's decent enough to make a good impact. And then the ultimate, which is insane, gives you a 35% damage increase when your target gets hit by one of your ice abilities for 3 seconds. So the uptime of this, as you can imagine, is pretty high, right? So you're just doing a ton of damage after you get this. This is probably your biggest power spike, to be honest, within the whole weapon. And the ability that I run in the Ice Tempest tree is Ice Storm. I'm pretty sure every single person using the Ice Gauntlet will be using this ability. Basically just puts a massive storm on the ground. It's pretty big radius. Does a lot of damage. Slows enemies. Lasts a decent while. And it's not that crazy of a cooldown. And the passives are also fantastic. You basically do more damage when they are lower health within your Ice Storm. Storm Stamina basically just reduces the mana of Ice Storm when you cast it at full mana, which is okay, but you kind of have to take that to get down to Punishing Storm, which is nuts. It's basically just a damage multiplier, 10% per enemy within Ice Storm. So you can imagine in wars, especially, this is just racking up to a lot of damage per tick from Ice Storm. When you start getting a lot of intelligence, this just does some pretty insane damage to people. Now for the right side, you're most likely going to take Quick Frost. You could take Blocking Stamina if you find some use out of it. I don't really block that often. If anybody in here watches my other videos, you don't really see me blocking that much. And Quick Frost is just a fantastic passive. Just gives you 10% movement speed while you're in either Ice Shower or Ice Storm, which are your frosted areas. Now Ice Shower, this is probably, at least in my opinion, one of the best abilities in the game. Basically, it just drops a little shower of ice in front of you in a pretty decent lengthy line. And anybody running through is unable to dodge. They get slowed for a second, and it gives them Frostbite. So they're rooted. They can't dodge, and slow speed by 50%. And Frostbite stays on the target for 3 seconds after exiting the Ice Shower. Lasts for 4 seconds, but it goes up to 7 from Enduring Shower. And then the other passive is Quick Shower, which basically just gives you a 25% speed boost for 2 seconds when entering Ice Shower. Also gives it to your allies, which is nice. And then the last passive is you pretty much doing 10% more damage to anybody that is in your Ice Shower or within 2 seconds after they leave it. So as you can imagine, everything just meshes pretty well in the Ice Gauntlet build, as you can see. Defiant Freeze is also another passive, which is decent. I just took it because I thought I would get the most use out of it, out of the passives on the left side. Which gives you 20% Fortify after casting an Ice ability. And the reason I took this is because the uptime on this is pretty nuts as well. Things can get pretty crazy that you can have targets on you when you cast Ice Storm or Ice Shower. So right after you cast that, you get 20% Fortify for 2 seconds. So this is going to be, decent uptime on you and can prevent a lot of damage. Now Entombed is also just another nut ability. Lasts for 10 seconds. It can be destroyed, but it takes a hell of a lot of damage to destroy this thing. So you can use this aggressively or defensively. You can use it aggressively because you can break out of it. You can manually break out of it, causing AoE damage and knocking back. It actually does an insane amount of damage. It can crit as well. Pretty crazy damage, to be honest, what this can do. It blew me away. And the longer you stay in it, the more mana that you get. It gives you mana per second or something like that. So you can get back to full mana pretty quickly within like 3, 4, 5 seconds. So defensively, you can use it for that. Or if you're in like a sticky situation, you can pop this, get some mana back, and either pop out or roll out. Either when it's about to break, you can see the health bar of it, or break out if there's a lot of enemies around you, and you find a good moment to do a lot of AoE damage and knock people back. Now the passive is Entombed, is also insane. Strength Entombed. Strength Entomb just gives you 25% defense for 3 seconds after breaking out of Entombed. So if you're using this defensively, this passive is great, because if the mobs are still on you, or the enemies are still on you, and they rush you right after you break out, you get 25% defense for 3 seconds, right? So this can prevent a lot of damage for you as well. I would maybe take Cleansing Tomb sometimes. I would take out Defiant Freeze probably. I would replace Defiant Freeze with Cleansing Tomb. But Cleansing all debuffs, I just haven't really found that. There's never really been a time where I was Entombed and I was like, damn, I wish I had this passive. There's a couple times, but I think I'm just going to find more use out of Defiant Freeze for the time being. So for tips and tricks, the first one that I will say is just getting down the dodge roll mechanic with the animation swapping in between. Now, if you don't know what that is, there is a video that I posted on my channel explaining it in a bit more depth, but I'll just quickly go over it for you guys. So basically, when you roll, and this is only with light gear, I think, when you roll, see how there's like a little break when you kind of stick to the ground? I'm pressing W this whole time as well. So you press W, you roll, you kind of stop on the ground there. But if you swap weapons right at the very end, you don't stick to the ground. So you just get it off much faster, and your movement is just much more fluid, as you can see. So this is kind of necessary as a caster and a mage, especially because you're so weak. If you have low constitution or low armor, you kind of need to be able to use this to your full advantage. The second tip is eating food before entombing, and using entomb to wait for a health pot cooldown or a mana pot cooldown. Basically, if you eat right before you entomb, the little health buff increase for like 10 seconds, I think it lasts. You get basically full advantage of it instead of it just getting knocked off if you take damage. Third tip is being able to curve Ice Shower. Pretty simple. Basically, you can cast it in a straight line, but if you move your mouse while you cast it, you can kind of put a circle around you. Like this, so that it provides a bit more defense from more angles instead of just being a straight line. The fourth tip is to put Ice Storm on yourself defensively. If you have a lot of mobs on you, it's never a bad idea just to drop it on yourself, because you're not taking damage from it, but everybody else is. Right, so if there's a lot of people aggressing on you, you can kind of just sit inside this, maybe even entombed if you need to. And the last tip, which I would say is probably the most important, it's not just one single tip, but it's more of just a general statement, is just getting your movement down. I think this is the most important thing to be able to play a mage class like this pretty well using the Ice Gauntlet. And if you're using the Fire Staff with it, especially, if you put a lot of points in intelligence and not a lot in constitution, you're pretty low health. You most likely want to be in light, so you don't have a lot of armor or magic resist going on. So just getting your movement down is pretty necessary. So for stat distribution, this is what I'm running currently. I have obviously a lot of points in intelligence. I run Fire Staff Ice Gauntlet, which scale both off of intelligence. This plus 200 intelligence marker is absolutely insane. It basically changes your whole playstyle. If you're running the weapon combo that I am, or even without it, it's super helpful. Plus 10 mana after a dodge is just makes the gameplay just really fluid. It was just an amazing power spike when I first hit this. How I first went about stats was that I hit 150 marker first in intelligence, and I dropped down to constitution after that, just for the plus 20% stronger mana pots and health pots. But I think if I did it again, I would get to the 200 first before dropping down into constitution, and then stack a lot of points into constitution after that. And I think where I'm going from here is I'm kind of just tossing a lot of points in intelligence right now. I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing with attribute points at the moment, just because this isn't too strong. Plus 30% duration of damage over time spells, and this might be good, but there's no way I can hit this anyways, so I'm not really thinking about it for now. But yeah, I think from here I'm going to just start tossing some more points to Constitution, maybe get to the second bracket, just for a little bit more health based off of my mana, and then see where to go from there. Now for gear, there's not too much to go over here. This is obviously changing pretty often. I mean, I'm only level 48 right now. Well, I shouldn't say only. That's decently high. I've been playing a bit. But, you know, a lot of these pieces kind of go in and out pretty often. But the biggest thing, and my main goal with this, and yours should be as well, if you are playing a mage class like I am, is to just always be in light, right? So you want to get as close as you can to 15, because 15 pounds of armor weight is the limit if you want to stay in light, which makes it so that your dodge roll is incredibly fast. It goes far, and you know, it's just a really good evade for a lot of melees. So I'm at 14.7 right now, which is really good. This is kind of what you want to be at, you know, anywhere close to 15, 14.7, 14.8. And I do have a lot of medium pieces on right now, I think, if not all medium pieces. Here's my helmet. Medium headwear, 17 intelligence with a socket. And I put the slash damage absorption in there just for a little bit more defense against Great Axe users. And obviously the passive isn't helping me at all. It's I think it's a musket passive, but I'm just using this just because the intelligence and it's a medium headpiece. My chest piece is I think it's the third tier of faction gear. And I switched the stats to Constitution and Intelligence, and with another slash damage absorption for the Great Axe users. Pretty decent chest piece. And now with the gloves and the boots, I'll go over these at the same time. Got the Harvester gloves and the Harvester shoes. And both of these give insane intelligence. Obviously 17 there and 15 there. And they're both medium pieces, medium glove and medium footwear. But they're super low weight. And I think that's because of the Harvester part of it. I think just the Harvester set is medium, but it just gives really low weight. So this is obviously perfect for a mage class because it's medium and it gives a lot of intelligence. And then the pants are the same thing as the chest, but just the pants version. And I somehow got it to be epic. I bought it from the Syndicate faction, and they just turned epic. So I was like, all right, switch it to Constitution Intelligence with the seal, put the slash damage absorption in there, and so I'm rocking those. Now I'm at 14.7. My weapons currently is a 444 gear score fire staff. It's a tier 4. I think I bought this from the auction house, or it was just a lucky drop. The focus is obviously pointless, but I'm more looking at the damage and the fire damage on it, and it gives intelligence, right? So I'm only missing out on like 6 or 7 intelligence, but I can't find anything better than this at the moment. Then my Ice Gauntlet is 440, a little less than the fire staff. Gives Constitution Intelligence, which is totally fine. Constitution is just as good as Intelligence. You can just respec in and out, depending on what the piece gives. I put the 30% of damage is converted to Arcane in there because I was going into the Depths, which is the 3rd dungeon, level 45 dungeon, and it's corrupted inside. So Arcane is super effective against corrupted. So I just tossed that in there. I haven't changed the stats. I don't really know too much about which gems are good to use. I know there's a gem that makes it so that you do more damage when you're at full stamina. So I'll try that one out as soon as I get a couple weapons that I'm going to be sticking with for a while. These kind of go in and out pretty often, so. And then my jewelry currently is, oops, not that fantastic. This is my necklace. I'm just using it for the Constitution, and then the 6.8% more maximum health. The haste I apply lasts 10% longer, which is decent for a couple of my passives. I think I kind of get a little bit of use out of it. My ring, I kind of switch in and out as well. 16 Constitution, 4% chance at rare items. Then I have this one, which is 17 Constitution. Just one more point, and then when I'm hit below 50%, gain 81 stamina. So I'm kind of switching those in and out for PvP and PvP, or sorry, PvP and PvE things. And then my earring is also not the best. This is just the best thing I could find at the time. 7 intelligence, not horrible. Some arcane damage absorption, which isn't probably doing much, but it came with it, so. Alright guys, that will be the end of the guide for me. I wanted to stick just to the Ice Gauntlet for this one. I know that I use the Fire Staff just as much, but I will be making a whole separate guide for that, so keep your eyes peeled. That will be coming within the next couple days. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I stream live on Twitch at Brady TV, twitch.tv/BradyTV, so feel free to stop by there as well. Thanks, guys.